So Civic Digits started as a theatre company. I'm a playwright, so my experiences of theatre making. We are a performance making company, but we make performance and art at the intersection of games, data and storytelling. So the beginning of Data Driven Actor really started with our first project with Civic Digits, which was the Big Data Show, which is an interactive, immersive digital show about the first prosecuted hack in the UK. As part of that show, we were doing workshops using BizBlocks, which is a tangible visualization technique or technology that was created by Creative Informatics at Edinburgh University. They kind of created this data visualization stuff to be abstract, and we were kind of thinking, well, wouldn't it be exciting if it could be a motorized emoji? So the young people could start thinking about data as a material that they could be creative with, rather than immediately kind of thinking about it from a totally scientific point of view. So to sort of like enter the world of computer science and ethical hacking and what it means to be a digital citizen in the 21st century with all of this sort of, smart enabled technology all around us. Like, let's enter that critical thinking about that world through creativity and storytelling. So we made these workshops, and when we saw how much fun they were to play with, we thought actually maybe we could sort of upgrade a motorised emoji into being a data-driven actor, and that's what I've been co-designing with the pupils.
It was really cool how you managed to bring the characters to life. It brought a new perspective over it.
We made this whole story up by ourselves, and then it was acted out and it seemed real.
That was a really cool experience to have.
My hope for the Data Driven Actor workshop was to really begin to explore with young people what it might mean to create a data-driven actor, to find out what they would imagine the technology that we already had could be developed into. What we want to do over the next 3 weeks is think of or work together to create a story that we can tell about what it's like to live online and offline at the same time, and we're going to try to make a little robot to help us do that. Sad, happy, sad, happy. But as you can see, I've done absolutely nothing to give it any character or any personality. So that's going to be up to you. The first week of workshop was really about introducing the pupils to the technology, showing them how to do the coding.
At the first workshop, we made the characters, we created them, and then we would make the face and start off coding the face.
We have on the phones, there's a fairly simple user interface. So you could make the eyes flash or beat really, really slowly by using this code, which is breathe underscore colour, and then a space, and then a number.
We designed the robots, and we figured out who our characters were going to be, Chad and Susan. And we had two groups, one working on Susan, one working on Chad. And I remember we did a very messy robot base of Chad.
The next task is, what is Susan's predominant emotion? 2 minutes to decide. Oh, sadness. They were building the characters, creating the very first beginnings of the characters, and seeing how to kind of express those characters through the sort of emerging data-driven actor.
I think Susan online she promotes a lot of veganism, but when she's offline, she's been seen eating meat, and I think she's very to herself on it, in real life. She doesn't really want people to know who she is, but when she's online, I feel she puts a act on for everyone.
And if I was going to describe Chad to someone, I'd say that he's very he's kind of a loving person that loves the environment and helping people.
Online he might be really happy, but inside he's probably broken or something.
Mm-hmm.
They pretend to be stuff that they're not, and they try and make other people be like them, even though they're not even.
And they make people feel bad for themselves. Yeah.
So they're just really mean.
Mm-hmm.
There was a point where one of the pupils was talking about one of the characters, Susan, and he said, well, she's the sort of person that you just can't say anything to. And I thought that's a great character summation, because I know that person. So Susan, you can't say anything to her. I was really excited and elated at the end of that first workshop that I felt like I had communicated with them and that they'd had a meaningful experience and that we had sort of somewhere to go next. Workshop 2 was when we kind of talked as a group or in pairs about developing character, and then they got to go and sort of do some stuff on their own and then share it. Something that had been suggested by one of the pupils in the first workshop. I said at the end, what do you think we could do next with the robot? And somebody said, well, it could have a moving mouth rather than just a mouth that's up and down for happy and sad. So we brought in an LED array, which we gave them sort of the instructions of how to code it so that it would make the shape of a word or a line.
We kind of upgraded the mouth, we pixelated it.
It was quite fun to do because I've never done anything like that before, quite new and different to me what I usually do.
The new mouth we made by going onto the computers and going onto our website, then we would pixelate one frame by a frame.
You can see what the shape is that the mouth makes when you're saying those lines. And then you replicate on here the shape of the mouth. So C, like this I'm doing C, so it's that shape, C, U, there, Q, T. So you can make the mouth stay in the different shape for different lengths of time. I think they really enjoyed the hands-on design element of it. That's something that we're really interested in, is how to make engagement with technology really tangible. There was 2 girls who were working together and they just did some really great shapes of mouths, which were not only making the right shapes of the mouth, but they'd also sort of made them a little bit cartoony, so that when it pursed together it sort of became a heart shape, and I thought that's gorgeous. Yeah, workshop 3 was the last of the series of 3 workshops, and we brought in Afton Moran, who is a brilliant actor that I've worked with before, and they came in and performed some of the pupils' writing, and that was really great. I think the pupils absolutely loved seeing a professional actor bringing their words to life, and were quite surprised as well, I think, at actually how deep those characters had become over the 3 weeks.
A professional actor came in and read them out and gave more personality to the characters and showed them how they would act.
We'd been working really hard on making the stories, and then when the actor came in, it just put it all together and made it way better.
I could actually see how someone would portray if you gave them a description of how they act and stuff.
Another person fallen into my trap. He will not believe I eat meat. No one knows I do this all for the views. It's not like they'll find out. I'm going to be famous for this. Oh, this is going to be great. I can't believe this. My reputation is ruined. I bet it was Chad. I need to speak to Chad.
I think my standout moment from week 3, it's got to be just seeing the kids cracking up when Afton was coming in and being one of the characters. I think they were being Chad and doing Chad with the silly walk. There was just a moment where it really felt like Afton was working with the robot and the robot was being controlled by the pupils, and they'd learnt how to do that. They understood the characters that both those fleshy human actor and robot actor were there to do, and the whole thing kind of for a minute and a half kind of worked. And it made me kind of feel there's real potential here for an audience to engage with how a robot performs on stage, and for that to be a really exciting, interactive, immersive experience.
I think it's slotted in the curriculum very well, because we look at programming, we're looking at coding as well. So we're trying to look at Python, we use the Scratch blocks. And I think the workshop certainly complemented that, but it brought it to life though. So, you know, that there was something tangible for them to have with the actual blocks. And, you know, there was the process. We always talk about the process and the journey, but there was also a product at the end too. So I thoroughly enjoyed that. And I think the creativity that the pupils had to actually show as well, in terms of designing the face, they had to program it as well, and they had to kind of work as a group too. And so I like the dynamic. The dynamic is quite different from what we do in a school.
The pupils have brought so much reflection and introspective kind of like searching of what they really think in response to the questions.
What's been really special about having Civic Digits in the school as part of our residency is we've been able to offer something to the technologies department, and particularly computing. A part of our residency aim is that we work across as many departments as possible, and it was amazing to be able to bring this really creative project into the computing department and engage with different teachers and pupils.
I was really pleased to see everything coming together. So seeing, you know, a professional actor working with the robot, with the young people, operating the robot from their mobile phones, doing that coding live, so it seemed like the robot was responding to what the actor was saying and the actor was responding to what the robot was doing, and sort of beginning to see how that loop was going to work. I was really pleased that we were able to get to that point. And then also just kind of thinking, I just wish that we could carry on.
If we had more time, I would like to develop another story and like do the whole process again, but with another story instead.
I would like it to like maybe speak, or maybe like more pixelated eyes, like the mouth kind of.
Yeah, I'd like to make the robot like move around the floor, for example.
I would like to make the robot have more like facial expressions, so it can like go with the story more.
I don't think they made it talk, but the actor did talk for it.
Well,
But I would have liked to see that happen.
yeah, that was,
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Even though we're at the end of this bit of the journey, we're in the foothills of the greater vision of what this is going to be.